All right, sweet. I just recorded about 15 minutes of stuff and was not recording at all. That is so sick. I think I'm going to go through what I did again, even though it's obnoxious for me and not obnoxious for you, because whatever. But I'm going to quickly, in this video, go through kind of the ghosted diagram, axon diagram thing we're talking about. I'm going to talk a little bit about Illustrator, and then I'm going to talk about placing things into InDesign. Hopefully this will be short-ish. You guys can see the time right now. I'm guessing it's going to be short, even though I know it's not going to be. I'm going to do this in 41 minutes, and I have to because I have to go somewhere at 8:45. So, all right. So, first thing I want to do is talk about units. I think I know everybody needs to change their units just by typing in units to architectural. 1/16 is fine, and push OK. This changes it from a decimal system to an architectural system. So, using measurements like we kind of talk about instead of using decimals. Engineers use decimals, architects use fractions, which is awesome. Okay, so I'm going to quickly try to run through drawing kind of what I already drew over here and show you guys a little bit of my workflow with how I use Autocad, and show you guys how quickly you can get at AutoCAD if you kind of just like focus and learn the commands and think about drawing in a clever way, not in like a slow kind of, clunky way. So I'm just going to go ahead and make a 30-foot line at 30 degrees. And then I'll make a 65-foot 6-inch line. I'm recording my chubby chopped hands to show you, or to allow you guys to see like what I'm typing in, or kind of the shortcuts that I'm clicking and stuff like that. I'm gonna not like tell you every single key I'm pressing, but hopefully you'll kind of be able to see some of the things I'm typing in. You can also see what I'm typing in down here in the command bar too. But okay, so it's like already thinking about drafting smarter. I've got this line, I've got this line. I'm just gonna go ahead and copy this up here to make the top of that. I'm gonna copy this over here to do that. If you want to bring up the same command you just used, you just push enter and it'll bring up the last command you used. So like if I wanted to copy something again without typing anything in, I just push enter, and now I can copy stuff again and hit enter to exit the command. You can also push escape to exit the command. So let's make a line going back this way. Let's do 77-foot 5 inches just for fun at 120, because it's going back 60 degrees, so 60 degrees up from 180. Enter. Now I've got everything I need to draw this back face just by taking this, copy back here, enter, copy that, over there, and over there, enter. Now I've got this thing drawn. Let's move this over to here just so we don't get confused. Okay, now I'm going to draw kind of my liminal space in here, what I would, act like as what I'm acting like is my liminal space for the sake of this video. So if you want to draw a line at a specific point on the thing without like, if I wanted to start my line at 22 feet in this way, but I didn't want to draw a 22-foot line to then go backwards, you should be able to kind of hover over that endpoint and then use your tracking to go 22 feet. Okay, line 22 feet. Yeah, so now I can make one, now I'm 22 feet into this line. Oh yeah, Autocad's not smart. Okay, so I'm just gonna do a dumb thing where I mark that point, I copy this over here, and now I can copy, copy this line to here, and this line copy to there, that line copy to there. So now I've got like this kind of sliver of liminal space over here. Another thing I wanted to kind of show is how you could, remember isometrics are all based on like a kind of grid system, so you can like plot points. If I wanted a rectangular tube to go through the thing at 31 feet back into the space, okay, line. Why is that snapping like that? It's so obnoxious. $31 foot. Damn, that's so obnoxious. Okay. How else would I do this? I'm trying to think of what thing I need to turn off. I guess if I just turn off ortho, it will help. So let's do 31 foot back into this thing. Foot back into the thing, turn ortho back on, and go 12 feet upwards. And now I can use this line I've already drawn to make the bottom of it. Let's say that this thing is 17 feet deep into the thing. Okay, I'm just making sure it was actually intersecting with that. And then let's copy this line over here, over there, over there. And connect these dots. Okay, so now I've got this like prism going through. Oops, shit. Trim, let me trim this thing out. Delete that. So now I've got this rectangular prism going through the space at 22 feet back and whatever, 17 feet up or whatever I said. Grab these 4 lines, copy those over here, and so now you can kind of see I've got that prism. I've got that prism kind of shooting through the thing in there. Again, this is like thinking about, my liminal space is kind of this prism that goes through the box or whatever. All right, and I'm back to where I was before. Jiminy Christmas. So now what I'm going to do is change the layer of this box. So I named this horizontal liminal space or whatever. You can do this in a few ways. The way that I like to do it usually is by selecting the things, right clicking it or double click on a Mac and do change to layer and do horizontal. And so now I've got that box that's kind of highlighted blue. Of course, you can make another layer for this other box you have or whatever, but for the sake of brevity, that's what I'll do. So here's my kind of diagrammatic version of my building. Yours, hopefully, you have a little bit more form. You don't need to completely, if you have like a crazy curvy building or something, you don't need to completely like try to draft that in AutoCAD. You should simplify the form, but it should kind of be reminiscent of a thing. If you've got like stacked boxes and that's kind of what your building looks like, then it's like, show us those kind of stacked box things and show us the liminal space as a, decently accurate representation of the shape of the liminal space for your thing. So, okay, once I'm here, I've got that thing drawn, I'm going to go ahead and go to my other layout, and I will kind of zoom into this thing nice. Careful. Okay. Just 20 minutes of me just trying to zoom in everything. Okay. Got that saved on there, just in layout 1. Now let's do file, and let's do export to PDF, I believe. If this is wrong, I'm going to cut this out of the video. Whoa. Okay. All this is good. I've like never changed anything on AutoCAD plot stuff since like high school, which was 73 years ago for me now. Let's do print layout. You want that. And let's do save as PDF and see what the hell happens. What do I have to lose? Let's do tutorial things with a Z. Okay, let's do AutoCAD export, sending sheet to plotter. Sick. Okay, it gives us a dialog box that it's done. Let's go ahead and minimize this for the time being. And let's go to Illustrator. Let's do new file. And let's pick ourselves a nice, good size. 4400 by 2400 pixels. That's pretty big. That's pretty good. Doesn't matter what you put here. I mean, I would make it at least 2000 probably in its smallest dimension, just so it's a nice big image. Okay, why did it just change on me? Let's do a portrait orientation for this thing, which kind of makes sense. Oh, that's way too big. Okay, so if this happens where you're like, oh shit, I made it weird, you can click on your artboard tool and change the size of your artboard, and it's like, okay, no harm, no foul. So let's go ahead and go to file, and you can place, or you can import, or you can open. Let's just do open sesame. And let's go to, look at all the stupid screen recordings I've already done. Where am I at? Fall 25, 215, tutorial. Okay. So I've got now this beautiful, terribly ugly drawing that I can go ahead and transfer over just by clicking and dragging into this thing. So it came in at this size. I need to resize it to make it larger. Always push shift while you're resizing something, because that will lock in the proportions of it. What happens if you don't, it's like you can make the thing like really squished, If you hold shift, it will maintain proportions. That's really important. It would be amazing if this studio was the first studio ever that like every single person did the kind of resizing of things appropriately and nobody had a squished drawing at the mid-review presentations. It seems like it happens every year. Somebody has a squished drawing at the mid-review presentation. It sucks. Let's try to not do that this year. It always prints with all these like random extra lines. I don't know what that is. I don't know how to fix that. Sue me. I don't know. I always just go through and delete all of them. They'll go away. If you use there's a difference between the V selection tool and the A selection tool. So I'm just pushing V or I'm pushing A. A selection tool is direct selection, meaning you can like select an individual line. V selection tool is selecting kind of like the whole thing. You're going to spend a lot of time using A because this is where you can manipulate lines and stuff with a lot more kind of precision. It looks like I missed one of these lines. No biggie. I don't know why I just say no. All you do is click A, you grab that line, and then you can click I, and which is your eyedropper tool, and you can eyedrop the color of the other line to that one. So the eyedrop tool, or this thing, like a little squeezer thing, syringe thing, I don't know what you call that. This copies the style of one thing to the thing you have selected. So if you select a thing, you can do your eye tool, and then you grab the style of that thing. Now it changes the style of that thing. Doing a kind of poor job at talking about that, but I think you kind of get what I'm saying. Hopefully, maybe one of my professor. So next thing we're going to, I think I'm going to size this up even more. So we talked a little bit about like in class, these things are kind of, these kind of X-ray vision types of diagrams. That doesn't mean that they're just like pure wireframe or whatever. I think you want to add a little bit of tone to these, and how we're going to do that, or how you can do that, how I might do it, is by adding a little bit of color to the thing. So we mentioned in the talk that everybody can choose a kind of a warm gray or a cool gray, and start to apply that to their liminal space. So I'm going to show you how I do that. First of all, I think I'll delete this. I think I want to talk about it like this. It's going to make it a little bit more clear. First of all, I think we want to go through and line weight things. I think that's going to help us just right off the bat. So the reason that I put this thing on a different layer, this kind of liminal object on a different layer, is to be able to select it really easily in Illustrator. It doesn't seem like a big deal now because it's only like, well, what's the big deal about selecting 10 lines or whatever it is. Yeah, I hear you, but when you get to drawing really complex things and you have like a million lines that are kind of all shuffled in with a million other lines, separating your line weights in AutoCAD before you get to Illustrator is really convenient. You don't need to change the line weights in AutoCAD. Don't mess with these. Just change the line color. Change the objects that you know are going to have a different line weight to a different line color in AutoCAD, and that's just by changing this little guy. I'm going to close this so my computer runs faster. Sure, save to here. Okay, all right. So, purpose for changing the line color of this thing. Really great, convenient thing you can do. Click a thing, select, same, stroke color. And now it selects everything that is that specific stroke color you set. So now I can come in here and change this to a different line weight, and change the color, the stroke of this. So like now already it kind of reads a little bit better. You can kind of identify that object a little bit more easily. I want to I forget how to like explode lines from each other, because I want to like ungroup this. Shit, I forgot how to do it. Whatever, look into that, how you ungroup. Anyway, because I think it's nice to kind of highlight the profile line of this thing. What I'm going to do, this is like the bad, dumb person way to do it. Look at who you're talking to. But you can basically make a new layer, lock your other things, and trace the outline of this thing. Do it with a little bit more precision than I'm doing right now. Just trying to do this quickly, but I'm using the pen tool, which is just P for pen, and then bump the line weight of that up. Kind of makes it read a little bit more clearly. I would say that this probably should be, well, whatever. Okay. Let's see. Now I'm also going to apply a little bit of a color to this thing. Oh, I'm good. I'm doing good on time. Let's lock that again with a new layer. Cool. Let's do, for the fill of this, we're going to do no stroke. And then, so this is, I don't know if people have caught on to this. This is your stroke color, meaning the line color. This is your fill color, meaning the fill of the thing. So, you know, you can pick a kind of nice, cool gray. A quick note on, I mean, we're going to have you guys use mostly gray for the sake of this presentation, but a quick note on color. You should never, ever, 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 ever be all the way up in this corner. Well, there are some exceptions, but for until you get some taste, until you get the cadence stamp of approval, very egotistical of me, you never choose a color that's all the way up in this corner. They are too bright, they're too saturated. You don't know how to use them yet, and I feel like I still don't too. You want to, all your colors should be in like this range in here. And of course, you know, down here when you need it. But it's like this is so much nicer of a color than this. It's like on presentations, I think, specifically I'm talking about. I'm not talking about clothes or whatever, but like it's just a lot more subtle. It's a lot more classy. It feels better. I would say like this is kind of a nice gray, a nice cool gray. That looks classy, classier than like a crazy saturated pink or something like that. It's a nice balanced color. Something that I do want to talk about. I should have actually kept that other. Let me go grab this thing. Oh, geez. rotate this. Oh geez, that was a mistake probably. Oh, maybe not. That's the usefulness of your direct selection tool. Also, although like already, like see how much better this thing looks now? Okay. Let's resize this to be perfectly in here. Just want to show you guys one other thing, kind of on the topic of like doing the kind of ghosted view stuff. So I've got this extra thing that I drew. Let's change the line weight of this, bump it up a little bit. So say that this was like your, you know, the left half of this was your studio and the right half of this was your lab or something like that, whatever it is. We can do, I would say on a new level, new layer again. I can do the pen tool. I can lock all these guys. It's not perfectly matched up, but just bear with me for a second. Highlight this zone of the drawing. Let's change the color of this. Something that kind of oh, what the hell? Complements. Damn it, I have this stupid. I forget how to change the color. Oh, why does it? Okay, hold on. Oh, I have done this so many times. Aha, okay. If it does that to you, I'm going to leave all that in so you guys can listen to me panic a little bit and see me work through a problem. So when it does the stupid thing where like it only will do black and white for some reason, it's because for some unknown reason to me that's done this forever, the colors will change on you from RGB to grayscale. I don't understand why. I never will understand why. I'm sure it's something very simple, and I'm sure it's my mistake at the end of the day, but it's incredibly frustrating. Okay, so I just went and selected that extra little zone, turned it into a different gray that kind of complements. So one option I have is to put this behind all of the kind of, you know, behind the layer and stuff. Another option I have is to leave it in front and to select it. Go to my transparency panel. If you don't have that panel open, you can go Window, Transparency, and click on that to open it. And you can change this to a multiply. And changing that to a multiply allows it to completely become like a translucent object. Think about this like this. If you have a like red film and you have a blue film, when you put those films on top of each other, it should turn into purple, right? that's what this multiply thing does. When you do multiply, it multiplies the colors, meaning it takes, you know, red, it takes blue, and it multiplies them into purple. When you're just doing normally, it won't have any sort of transparency to that thing. So, you know, clicking on it and changing it to multiply will allow for that kind of X-ray vision thing that we're talking about a little bit. You can also mess with overlay. Works in some instances. You can mess with all these things. They all do different things, but you know, color dodge is kind of interesting to it. Like, you know, does the negative of it or whatever. Anyway, oh shoot, I'm not even changing it anymore. Oof. So yeah, you can use multiply. It's hard to see, but the color is different between this panel and this panel. See how it, yeah, you can kind of see it there, how it's changing that. I'll go over and, well, no. You could do it for this backside too to highlight the studio or whatever. But I'm just going to leave it there for right now. Also might be cool to draw in your, give this thing a little bit of context, like draw in your context a little bit. I would do this in Autocad. I would not do it in Illustrator, but because this is going to be, you know, inaccurate now. Something I like to do always, just to give the things a little bit of good flair, is add in a little bit of a framing element. Like this. I don't know if I like how that looks, but yeah, I don't love that, but I don't know. You can add in some little things like that, but maybe not for that. I think keep it simple for this thing. Anyway, you know, I think the context is probably important, but I would draw that in CAD probably. All right, I'm going to show you how to save this. We'll do Illustrator, fixed. And where am I at? 34 minutes. Ooh, I got like 7 minutes left from what I said. Okay. And then we're going to export this. So Control E or Command E. Oh, shoot, that doesn't work. Never mind. Not that. Let's do File. Actually, I'll show you guys how to link stuff. So pulling up InDesign, Adobe InDesign. Let's do a new file. And this is the size of a 4K screen, so 3840 by 2160, and we can make like 10 pages or 10 slides. I have this saved as a 4K pres. So 10 slides, let's create. And now I've got, you know, 10 slides. If I do Shift W, I can like see, you know, full screen all my slides. I guess to make that a little bit more apparent, let me grab a text box, throw one down on here, bump this up to 300 or whatever, liminal project, InDesign has a lot of tools like centering tools, so you can see that pink thing is highlighting like the center of the slide. There's the center of the slide horizontally, so now it's kind of perfectly in the middle of the thing. Keep in mind your rule of thirds, I think, is a good thing in your presentations. So if you want to copy text from slide to slide and make stuff like appear and disappear, I'll show you a quick trick. You can do Command C, Control C to copy, obviously, and then on your next slide, you scroll down, click on it. You do. I always forget what the key combo is because my brain knows to do it. It's Command Option Shift V, or Control. I think it's Control Alt Shift V to paste in place. So watch what happens when I just do Control V, and then I go back to my full screen and I go to the next slide. It kind of just like jumps around. But if I do Command Option Shift V or Control Alt Shift V, it will paste in place. So that's kind of, it looks like it's not even moving. It's because it's completely locked in. So that's how you can do things like this, where it all stays perfectly locked in. That's useful for more than just words. That's useful for like diagrams. If you want, say I wanted to save out a version of this where, in fact, I'll just do it. I wanted to, let's see, let me go new. Oh, there's got to be an easier way to do that. How do I guess I could do save as, and let me delete. Oh, I just got a notification. Today is my if I finish Duolingo today, I'll have done it for 365 days. Isn't that awesome, guys? So let's do save on that. Now in my InDesign file, I can do file, place. So now I'm getting to the part where I'm showing you what I'm supposed to do, which is placing some of these things. In InDesign, you want to do file, place. Always do file, place. That brings in files and links them. So let's go to find that file, and let's do this one. Open that. Oh, it saved it as a PDF, didn't it? Actually, it still will work though. So InDesign is weird because you're gonna like change this thing and it's like, what the hell, the image didn't change, it just changed like the crop frame. That is kind of annoying and weird. It's useful in very specific moments, but to me it's like the default should be that the whole thing changes. The way to change all of it at the same time is, what is it? Yeah, doing command, pushing command or control, and then also holding shift. That will keep the proportions constrained and also change both the frame and the drawing at the same time. If you have the thing nice and centered in the page or whatever, and you want to not change like just one corner, you want to change all dimensions at the same time, you can hold Alt or Option on a Mac. Okay, so I've got this thing, this drawing placed here. I could label this liminal space. This is the diagram. I want to talk about the liminal space. So I've got that diagram with the liminal space. Why did I just say that with a southern diagram? Got that diagram. I'm starting to talk like you guys. And then I could go on the next slide, Control C to copy, Control Alt Shift V to copy it in the same place. And then I can go ahead and grab this frame, Command D to place, the same exact command. Well, I'll just do it with the menu. But you should learn the shortcuts. You can move so much more quickly. File, place, while I'm clicked on that frame. And let me place this other one with that new thing highlighted. Open. So pasting in place helps you do clever things like this, where you've got this diagram where I'm highlighting the liminal space, and then let me say the studio. So I can go I can show this diagram where the liminal space is at, and then I can kind of add in that highlight, and the thing stays completely locked in to its place on the slide. That's super useful. That's really, because you can kind of like almost animate drawings in a way, and it helps you with the flow of your presentation. Yeah, all your text can be taken care of in InDesign. You've got a lot of wiggle room in InDesign to kind of like completely customize the stuff. Okay, hopefully this is a little bit of a decent tutorial. Well, I'm sure there's going to be a million other questions, but yeah, hopefully this kind of knocked out a few questions. What the hell was that? Is there just water drop from my... Okay. Yeah, hopefully this is a few, I don't know, decent tutorial on how to do some of this stuff. Hopefully that helps. Okay, I think I said 43 minutes, didn't I? And it's like 42:33. Or, yeah. Oh, shit, but my other thing is. Okay, whatever. All right, bye.